Hey, happy weekend, nerds, nerdettes, and all you dummies in the internet world. Welcome back. It's a brand new episode of Anime Streaming Showcase, wherein I look at series all over the internet on Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, various streaming sites, and say, hey, this is good, bad, otherwise, spend your time on it, don't spend your time, delete your subscription, all that fun stuff. And this week we're actually going to look at one of the other Gundam series that I've checked out and actually enjoyed, and that is Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. And so we're going to hop right into this and talk about this OVA, alright? As I've previously mentioned in my G Gundam article, the Mobile Suit Gundam series is not my preferred mecha franchise, as its density often turns me off from ever getting to know it. But I would never outright dismiss the franchise to the curious, as there are a number of creations within it that I've enjoyed and can recommend. Today's recommendation happens to be one of those shows, and despite the approximately 20+ year old age, Mobile Suit Gundam the 8th MS Team earns its ass stripes. Removing the often political heavy-handedness and space battles that a lot of other Gundam series before it and after it are known for, the 8th MS Team focuses more on the grunts of the Zeon and Earth Federation forces. The soldiers rarely leave the planet and often showcase guerrilla tactics to accomplish missions, with the Gundam frames being less prominent and more fragile. Worry not, mecha fans, there are plenty of traditional Gundam and Zeku frames battling it out on this OVA series. Just don't get too excited for the typical space theatrics Gundam previously and after have been known for. Grounded is literally and figuratively at work with the 8th MS Team presentation. In most Gundam battles, the hero and villain frames will retreat and often be ready for battles days or even hours later. But in this Vietnam-esque land war excursion, frames are a commodity that simply aren't replaced and repaired with zero consequence. War is never fun, and we've all played enough video games, read and studied enough history, or seen enough TV shows or movies to understand this fact. The 8th MS Team and its directors Takayuki Kanda and Umanosuke Ida also understand this and help present a look at a small subset of the one-year war raging in the early timeline of the Mobile Suit Gundam's universal century. Given the small structure of the production, Kanda and Ida never bog down viewers with too many characters to get to know, thus completely wasting time and preventing a progressive story from happening. There are only a few names and faces to remember, with the remaining riffraff making up the familiar war faces of vets, fresh recruits, and villainous evildoers. It feels like a very 80s movie layout and plot, but with a 90s sheen. Shiro Amada is the new commander stationed in the Southeastern Asian district to lead his ragtag group to victory over the Zeon threat. Meanwhile, the Zeon forces have Aina and Genius Shahalan working to bring down Shiro's team and the Earth Federation's plans. Shiro and Aina will ultimately be the main focus of the overall story with the 8th MS Team, but the remaining cast gets to shine in the sun throughout the 12-episode run. The cowardly veteran Elidor and new recruit Mikkel each have their own character growth early in the series, while others on both sides of the war are given their depth in the remaining episodes, culminating by the end in a cohesive, startling lifelike series. By modern standards, the love story feels a bit hackneyed when compared to a lot of other shows or films of today's time, but for a Gundam story, and more importantly its time, it's a passable presentation. Shiro and Aina are both respectable and plausible characters in an already well-presented war zone. As previously teased, the Gundam frames often play second to the characters, and they tend to play more as last resorts than insta-death killing machines other Gundam series will treat them as. Even better, the frames are often rarely suited for their surroundings and create more danger than help for the pilots. Sand and mud can easily trap the mechs, immediately stopping their assault, and then mere physics can almost destroy a Gundam's epic stature and reduce it to cannon fodder in mere moments. 8th MS Team really hammers in the focus on tactics, while touching on the all-too-familiar moral dilemmas Shiro and Aina have to deal with throughout the series. Do you allow your personal morals to win out, but potentially allow harm to come to your teammates? Is loyalty to your teammates and the missions you undergo more vital than your morals? Why fight for the politician light years away to defend their morals and stances when they don't sync up with yours? Are you really fighting the good fight? 8th MS Team likes to ponder these hypotheticals throughout its run. albeit these plot devices have practically been done to death by this point in time. But as long as a viewer understands the time frame of a release of a series as well as proceeding with an open mind, old can be new or refreshing more often than not. The modern mindset of most war-devoted media is the same vein as the 8th MS team. War is bad, and it's never black and white. War films and diatribes are no longer being promoted as propaganda, as most of the populace has learned that it's often a grotesque creation of man, and exasperated viewers of this ideal should just look elsewhere. Now come the finer points of the anime, in addition to its great plot. The music, the voice acting, and the animation are all well worth note. Kohei Tanaka's soundtrack evokes a John Williams-esque Star Wars vibe. Minor scenes are often littered with a musical accompaniment that could potentially seem out of place or distracting, but help create a better sense. And then his creations for big battles truly exemplify the struggle of war. Meanwhile, the voice acting is quality considering the time period of its US release. As I've hammered to death, the early aughts was never really known for consistently producing exemplary voice acting. Unless you were working with Funimation or working on other Gundam properties, a lot of English dubs from this era hardly hold up. Admittedly, I did choose to watch the 8th MS team dubbed since I'd already watched it many years ago subbed. I wish to be a bit more lazy on my rewatch. Surprisingly, I was treated to a voice I hadn't expected. Darren Norris. While the name may not ring a bell, his work's bright. Fairly Odd Parents, Samurai Jack, and even Team America. His distinctive, gruff voice work is instantly recognizable, but it was still jarring upon first hearing it. And the rest of the cast do passable jobs too, but none really stood out as strictly memorable. Lastly, the animation with the 8th MS team is immediate and constant from its opening and throughout every episode. Unlike a traditional weekly released anime, OVAs benefit from an off-broader release schedule. 8th MS team's release in particular was done over 3 years, so its budget was able to be spread out and attributed better to the series. The advantage of this budgeting is apparent in the big and minor ways. The frames are gorgeous, both Zeon's and the Earth Federation's. Minor details are illustrated to a degree usually reserved for movies or an opening animation. While I am no animation snob, I do welcome small touches that are every so often aesthetically pleasing but not necessary. In the interim, on the larger side scale, battles are a visual treat as bullets fly and frames dodge and attack. The series' standout battle comes later, and the animators absolutely have a field day devoting so much attention to the detail. It's marvelous. Debris flutters as shots ricochet off of shields, and sparks streak across screen in sword-clashing standoffs. Yumanosuke Ida's direction within these scenes is some of the best of the entire franchise. All 30 years of Gundam fights. If you're up for a slow-paced, 12-episode series part of a greater universe that's begging to be explored further, Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team, is a great series to look into. Again, I am no Gundam expert, and I'd love to devote an entire year to devouring everything the franchise has to offer and be able to personally discern the good and the bad this series has. But alas, that is not likely to happen. Thankfully, there are a number of terrific standout Gundam series I can think worthy of a mention. The previously showcased G Gundam, the Gundam Build series, and what I could call the 8th MS team's spiritual successor, the recent Gundam Thunderbolt. But those are simply a couple of my preferential options in the Gundam universes, and you can bet I will touch on the aforementioned series soon enough. Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team, has some problems. Mainly for me, its final episode feels tacked on and mostly unnecessary save for the closing 3 minutes. But it's certainly a show in the Gundam franchise that's worth watching. It's a great standalone series in case you just want something to watch without having to comprehend several other stories, and it's a great jumping in point in case you do wish to explore more of the Gundam universe. You may find the complete series online at Hulu, subbed and dubbed, and I think, despite its age and its old themes by modern standards, the 8th MS team still stands strong amongst lesser known mecha series in the genre. So there we are, a brand new episode of ASS, Anime Stupid Showcase. As always, thank you very much for joining me on this weekend. I believe it's Mother's Day weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there who may be watching this. I sincerely love doing this. As always, leave comments, like, subscribes, all those fun things. I am working really hard to try and have one of these things ready every week. And going forward, I may have to change the style a little bit. If you go to the Laser Time landing page when I put these up, you'll notice there's usually the video and then there's the text block below. When I started doing this, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it in the same vein of how game trailers used to do their reviews, where they would post up the video review and then to the side they would have a link to the text article, which you could read alongside or read after the fact. Work is starting to get a little bit busy for me, and it's getting to the point where I'm having less free time to write up these text blocks, which have been a great help, but there may come a time where I have to go without a text review and simply just do sort of off-the-cuff video reviews. So you'll still get a review every week. It just may not be accompanied by a text review if you like reading those, but I will still try and do my best to do it. Just know if some weeks there may not be an accompanying text review that's essentially just a transcript for the video review. But I will do my best to never miss a week unless I absolutely have to. But thank you again, as always, for watching my ass. Check us out every week on YouTube and over on Laser Time. I sincerely love doing this, and thank you guys. See you next time.